Oh, it says we're live. Is it lying? No. Yeah. Somebody let me know if it's going, and we'll try and get the menace to say hi here. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Oh, there's Frankers. Hi, Frankers. Whoop whoop. There. Okay. Is it doing whatever it's doing? It's working. Thank you. Hey, look at all you. So many names I recognize. Just a treat, as always. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. I usually put out a video on Thursdays, as we know, but today I was actually going to do a cold start video of the Newport because it's minus 600 degrees today. But I got out there and I thought, if it doesn't start, then I'm not going to be able to go over to Dan's later because I'll have killed the battery. Excuse me. And I want to get over there to finish filming for the video I have to edit tomorrow. So I just thought, and it was really too cold to do much else. Oh, somebody's being a menace. Big surprise. Would you like a bone? Oh, she seems to have developed an affection for milk bones lately. Yeah, so anyway, that's the story. I just thought it would be fun to come and hang out for a bit rather than try and, oh, there's the Hammers. Hey, hello. M. Owler practicing my bass till this come on. Oh, well, you should probably practice. That's awesome. Look at, there's Ed and John Massengill. Cheers, John. Mike has a bit of static. Okay, I don't know. It's the same one I always have been using, so I hope that it recovers. I'll try not to bash it too much. You guys, let me know if it's working or not. It's working. Yes, that's great. And there's the menace. Boop, boop. And there's Farrell. Yeah, we're keeping warm, buddy, because I'm not outside. Yeah, I just thought I'd show this to you guys. Just so you can see what we're up against here. And this is not unique to this place here. There we are. So that's the weather for the next few days. Minus 40 is where the Fahrenheit and Celsius graphs cross, and it's as low as most thermometers go. So it's always good to get some minus 40, because then when it warms up to minus 20, it feels like summer. So we've had it so easy this winter. So I'm actually kind of, it's almost kind of fun. Hey, where are you going? Who's going to answer all these questions? Get up. Oh, what a good puppy. Are you thirsty today or what? There you go. All right, I can't guarantee that we'll be able to keep Franker's attention for very long. So usually she's asleep in the chair when we do these, like in the other room. So I kind of made her come over and say hi today. So anyway, that's the story of why we're doing this. It's just too cold to film much outside. Nothing would start anyway, and I'm kind of full up with sort of long-term projects in the garage, and while I'm filming those, to anything that I would take out of what I've got for the weekend would just take away from the video that I'd like to put out on Saturday. So anyway, I guess that's enough explaining why. Maybe we should just, if you guys got any questions, let me know, and we can talk about any of the projects or any of whatever. Stevie Boy asks what's happening. Well, that's it. It's just really cold, and I'm tearing down the Buick nail head today. That'll be in the video on Saturday. Ash and I got started on it, and then Mark and I tore into it yesterday some more, and I just came in. You can see I'm freshly in from working on that. And so somebody wants the rest. There you go. Maybe I'll just feed Franker's cookies for the next hour or so. Hey, you guys would rather look at her. So would I, actually. What a nice puppy. So that's actually what's happening. Still working on the Rover. getting ready to spray the doors. Finally got all 4 of them pretty close to prepped. I haven't filmed a lot of that because there's only so much you can film of like scuffing the inside edges of door jambs and stuff. So while it is taking a good half of my time, I'm not spending a bunch of time on the prep work on something it's really just tedious and hardly anything looks different after 6 or more hours of work. It doesn't look much different. So as much as I am really trying to hammer through the Rover, it does, I'm not necessarily going to subject you guys to watching me do tedious prep work hour after hour. So when we are watching the videos, it may seem like I'm not doing anything, but in fact, I'm just not making you watch most of what I'm doing. So anyhow, I will keep everybody up to date with that. So we got the Rover going, the Buick going, the Renault going, and that's kind of the main projects right now. So just kind of excited. Got the Renault running well enough that it's given me a chance. I said when we were working on the Renault, the minute that thing is running and test driven, I'm going to start into the Buick 364. So we did that last night. So I'm excited about that. Pondart says, glad to see you got the spiders out of your beard. Yes, thank you so much. I believe you pointed those out last time. I think we got them. I don't know. Frankly, it would be hard to tell. So that's very kind of you. The $5 could go towards a comb or something. We rewatched the Boogie Van videos this week. That's when the Rover came in. Yes, I believe the Rover arrived because I drove the Citroen to Montreal, and while I was gone, Ashley and Steven worked on their vans. And then when I came back, we started on the van. And when I finished the van, we brought the Rover in. Yes, so that would be 3 years that the Rover has been here, roughly. So sorry guys, I'm gonna try to keep up. If I miss your question, please feel free to retype it. I always get way behind here. So I thought about putting on the slow feed on the, but then it's, I don't know. I think this way, if it's scrolling up quickly, people can still at least talk to each other. So I'm going to try anyway. I'll try, you guys. So what let me just see. There was a question here. What are the must-have parts that you're currently looking for? Not too much. I've been pretty fortunate. What do I need for any of the cars? Not very much, honestly. I'll think about that. There was something I thought of yesterday. I'm like, boy, it would be nice to find that, but I can't remember it right now. So there's so I'll let you know. JC asked, when do you plan on working on the driver's side door for the Buick? You mean the driver's door? It's probably when I do the rest of the car. That door is not very bad. The driver's rear door is already done. And Shock Wave asked, which car are you after that was special enough that they would make you bump them up in priority to fully restore them? Well, I have almost every car that I want now. So it's really a matter of the cut it out. He's just a monster. Created a monster here. There. It's really a matter of which cars have the parts come along. Like when I have all the parts, for instance, the 59 Buick, that car moved up the line because I have all the parts. I have the parts car. I've got a rebuildable engine now. And we have the grill, the trim, and the car is not absolutely garbage. So that's a big thing. Same with the Renault. That car was not really on the list until the parts car came along, and then the engine bumped over the parts car, and then that car went from the bottom of the list to the top just because, other than the broken engine, it needed almost nothing. Like the car is beautiful inside and nice body on the car and good glass and good exhaust even, and so other than buying that parts car, I've bought about $15 worth of brake hoses and stuff for that car, and it's literally drivable car. So I like to think of them. Somebody people who coach, like people paying back debt. And I kind of look at it that way, where if you got 4 credit cards, you're supposed to pay off the lowest balance first, get that one, like get it to 0, and then start on the next one. So I kind of look at the cars the same way. Like, there's no point in making 100-hour job wait until 1,000-hour job is finished. Just do the 100-hour car, and then it goes into service. Otherwise, it'll sit there so long while you do the bigger job that it may never get done. So I kind of look at it that way, and I have most of the cars that I could ever want. It's just a matter of getting to them. So we've got 3 more forward look cars I want to do. I want to do a 7, a 58, and a 61. I have all the cars. I have all the parts to make that happen. But I don't, those are all big jobs. All the cars I have left are massive restorations. The 60 Impala moved itself from off the list to on the list because I have the parts car now. So there's a big splice job. I may start that in the summer. The trouble also is that I have to balance what I want to do with what actually makes, the channel work or what people want to see. And one of the reasons I started on the Buick, really, honestly, is because if I'm just only doing weirdo little French cars, as much as I like that kind of thing, it doesn't do as much action on YouTube. And since the idea is that the YouTube videos help support the car hobby, they both have to support each other. So I'm having a lot of fun with all of it, but I like to mix it up too. So as much as and I'll tell you for sure, I can guarantee you guys, I'm not building any car that I'm building just for YouTube. Like, I've wanted a 59 Buick since I was 5 years old. So now I have a chance to get one, and so, like, it's not very hard to talk me into spending the hours on this Buick. Ditto 59 and 60 Chevys. Those are cars I've always loved. Of course, the forward look cars. It's funny that some of the cars I have, like the Citroens and the Renault, are cars that I really just hated as a kid. Like, Andy and I used to just laugh. We hated those funny little French cars. But now I really actually enjoy them a lot. So that's, I don't know. I don't even remember what question I was answering. I hope that helps. Is the snow all gone? No, it is not. The snow just arrived, actually, and it's pretty good. Chad says, oh, this is not Patreon. No, not this one, Chad. We'll do a separate one for Patreon very soon. Thank you so much, buddy. Chad, a very kind and generous supporter of the nonsense here. Mitch asks, if you do a 58, are you going to do a Christine clone? No, I'm not. I have a pretty good idea how I'm going to do the car. All right, here, that's the last one. You get up in your chair. All the best Christine clones have been done. Like, so I don't know. Every second 58 Plymouth has already turned into one, so I'm not doing one. There was a time maybe when I was 15 years old where I thought I might do one, but I will make a different car. And I haven't decided if I was going to clone a forward look car, and it did occur to me, and if the right car came along, I would consider cloning the car from the vault in the United States. It was a Plymouth Belvedere 57, beautiful color, nice options. If I were going to clone a car, I think it would be more fun to clone that car. But it's not like that car means anything to me personally, but I do remember reading the story of it as a kid and thinking, wow, it's going to be so amazing to see the absolutely perfect 57 come out of that vault. And of course, it was garbage. So that would be a car I would consider cloning, but only if a 57 Belvedere came my way. Right now, I'm really leaning towards building a 57 Plaza, just because I'm kind of tired of pounding stainless out. So let's see. Sorry, I'm just going to try and read a couple of questions here. Yeah, you guys know which one I'm talking about. The Miss Belvedere is the car they called it. Yeah. When's the Queen's Rover going to be finished? It's going to be finished, well, I don't know. The bodywork and paint will be finished before the snow is gone. And, Hammers has a great idea. The Mrs. Falbo car clone. I really like that. We wouldn't have... There's actually rumors that the Mrs. Falbo car is still out there, and it's been put back to a different condition than it was when it was used in the show. If anybody's familiar with SCTV, there was a character called Mrs. Falbo who had a little kids show, and she drove this jacked up 74, I think, Satellite with had a six-pack scoop and big center lines, and it was just like, it was ridiculous, but it was really funny because Andrea Martin was about 5'1", and she drove this jacked up Plymouth. The car was local here to Edmonton, and apparently, I'm pretty sure the car still exists, but I don't really know where it is. I have a fantasy in my mind that we find it wrecked in a field or in a junkyard somewhere and rebuild it, but that's a long shot. I suspect the car has been restored and is probably sitting in somebody's garage, and that's also just fine, you know. But that was a car that we all laughed at. It'd be fun to find. What's the faded pink Dodge? Oh, Mike, thank you so much, buddy. Mike, you didn't have to. I would have answered this question for free. Thanks so much, man. What's the faded red pink Dodge at the bottom of the stairs at the Quonset? I haven't seen it on camera since the day you pushed it into that space. Oh, I did do a video of going picking that car up. My friend John had it, and it was the only forward look car he had. And he had a couple of hundred cars that he was looking for homes for, and so I bought that car from him actually before I got the 59 Fury, I think. No, sorry, you guys. Frankers is being a tyrant now. What? I'm not. No. Just, I'm busy. I'll put you. Come here. Like, sorry, guys. Frankers just. If she starts barking, I don't know what I'm going to do with her. Hey, get up in your chair. Just quit being a pest. So, yeah, I did buy that car from my friend John, and we dragged it home here. The engine is stuck. It's rusty. I bought it as a yard ornament. I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do with it. It donated. That's a Canadian Dodge, what do they call it? Viscount, which is the top of the line model. It's the equivalent of a Plymouth Fury, but it's 59 4-door. Last year that Canadian Dodges had their own kind of line. After the Dart came out, the Canadian model Dodges were redundant because Canada no longer needed a low-cost Dodge option. So once the Dart came out, all of these weirdo, there was the, I don't know, Crusader, and the Viscount was the top of the line. In there somewhere was the Dodge Regent, I think. Yeah, so I forget. Maybe there was one more. Somebody, if Dean was here, he would know. I just can't remember it right now. So that's that one's a Viscount. It's the very top of the line. 59. It's basically a 59 Fury with a Dodge clip, sold in Canada only. Probably a pretty rare car, but you know, it's a big, rusty. It's a very typical forward look car. It's rusty. It doesn't run. The engine is stuck. It's a 318. I'm trying to think if it's a stick shift car or not. Yeah, I think it's a 318 with a 3 on the tree. I think it might be an automatic, but I don't think it is. And I put a couple of pieces from it. It had the fin trim is the same as the 59 Fury, so one of the fin trims is on my Fury, and I put the dented one on that car. It donated one taillight. From the windshield back, it's a 59 Fury. It's got 59 Fury dash, 59 Fury what? 59 Fury steering wheel. It's got the nice, well, a lot of the plastic's gone, but it does have the deluxe wheel. Anyway, that's the story on that car. I've had it for years. No plans to do anything with it. I just kind of saved it from being scrapped. So it's a savable car, but all the 4 doors, you know, it's one of those rare but nobody cares cars. It's not going to pay you back for any amount of the effort that you put into restoring it, when especially like it would be worth more as a Plymouth than as this weirdo Canadian Dodge, just because the market is very small for that stuff. So anyhow, that's the story on that. Yeah. If you look back far enough, type 1959 Dodge Viscount, I'm sure you'll find the video. I went with Stella and we loaded it up on the trailer, and then Dylan and I unloaded it and kind of walked around it for a while. Cheers. And yeah, so thanks so much, Mike. Oh, nice. Sorry about this. I've gotten behind on the thing. I'll try and keep up here. Platform says you need a Simca. Well, it's occurred to me, if the right one come along, I would. Could you resist the temptation of a Facel Vega? No, I would not be able to resist. I do think about a Facel. Dan and I and Paul and I, we all think about Facel Vegas. It would be the ideal car for me to have. It's the perfect combination of Chrysler and French coach-built car. I would love a Facel HK, even a FV1, but they are extraordinarily expensive. Like, the only way that I could ever get one would be to sell another one of, like, I could trade a really, really nice, roadworthy, like very, very nice, almost show quality SM for a very bad, rough Facel. So that would be the only way I would ever be able to get one, and then I would be buying myself another 10-year restoration project. So we'll see. If the right one came along, they're not, obviously they're extremely rare everywhere, but they are very rare in Canada. My friend Andre, whose estate sale we were at recently, where I bought the Traction Avant and the Peugeot 403, he had an HK 500 that I went and looked at. There's a video of it on the channel. It's one of my first videos. And it was just sitting in a field. And I thought, okay, here's my chance. I'm going to get this Facel. But I had no money, but I was still figuring out how I was going to get it. And I went and looked at it, and it was just so bad. There was just nothing left of it. It was just like all the stuff that made it a Facel Vega was missing. So all the beautiful interior and the gauges, all that was gone. It was turned into a race car. It was very, very poor, and I would have needed a better car just to use it to fix. And the car is still around. Andre did sell it. I think it's gone back to Europe, and I think it's still for sale. So anyhow, that's the story on how I'm not getting a Facel Vega anytime soon, I don't think. Thomas asks, what's Franker's favorite car? What's your favorite car, Frankers? If I had to guess, I don't know. She likes the Fraser, and I think she likes the Le Car because she gets to sit in the front. So that's her favorites right now, and I think she likes the D wagon as well. Will it be winter beater challenge this year? I'm not making an official winter beater challenge this year. I think just because everybody has already got pretty decent winter beaters, and I'm going to just drive the Newport because it's getting retired anyway. So not going to be an official beater challenge. The trouble with that is if we do a winter beater challenge, then none of the summer cars get worked on because we're all busy building winter beaters. So that's kind of how it's going on that. I still want to finish the Volvo. I was talking about that. There's a pretty reasonable chance that I will be working on the Volvo S90 next year, and that's literally like a winter beater that I'd like to keep forever. So yeah, so let's see if we got any other. Sorry guys, I'm trying not to get too far behind. Did I make a decision on the 51 Bel Air? Not really, no. That Bel Air is largely owned by Justin, and so the decision is up to him whether we sell, restore, keep, save, whatever. So that car is actually in large part Justin's car. So would I be interested in finding an old DeSoto with a fire dome Hemi? 65 bug nut asked. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd always be interested in finding stuff like that. I don't get up and look for cars, especially now as I've got, if I don't buy another car, I got the rest of my life just trying to fix the ones that are already here. So, yeah, so it would be a case of if one came my way, would I give it a home? Yeah, probably. But the more likely that Dan or Paul will be scooping up Hemi cars before I am. Junk here picked up one of the 60 Fury donor cars. That belonged to Dave. Sorry, Smitty's Matt asking about a Plymouth Suburban station wagon. Yeah, that car I believe was used for parts, and I don't know what happened to it. It was pretty poor. It had been like pushed down a cliff. It would be another car. I mean, anything is savable. Anything is savable, but that car, honestly, there were better prospects out there. So, just trying to keep up here, you guys. Any plans to shave the beard? Not really. I mean, I guess if I have to, I will. I don't really care about it one way or the other. Country Boys Homestead asks, how old are you? Have you ever thought about a Lincoln Mark 8? I'm 54, and no. They're a nice car. I would, even a Mark 7 I might consider. Mark 8 was just a little, it still seems like a new car to me. Mark 7s, I remember when those were released in 83, 4, and that was a pretty special car at the time. I was talking with my brother a couple of days ago, and I mentioned 83 to 85 Thunderbird Turbo Coupe would be the only Fox body car I would be interested in. I remember when those were released, and that was kind of a big deal coming from the rather pillowy 80 to 82 that looked like a Fairmont. So yeah, there's lots of cars I would, if they drifted my way and they were cheap enough. I mean, I've got the room, but I spend more time trying not to buy cars now. Honestly, I've got lots of cars to keep myself busy. Jonathan W. What? How's it going, buddy? Hey, watch your. I know I mentioned I would be sending you something, so please watch the mail here. I decided to wait till after Christmas to send because of the mail. It gets pretty hectic around that time. That's so cool, you guys. Jonathan W. Thank you again, Jonathan, for letting us play along on the V8 showdown this summer. That was an absolute blast, and having you building that awesome Studebaker at the same time really added to it. So thank you again. I keep the Auto Mechanics for Dummies book right by my toolbox so I can consult it. Watch for it to appear soon. So yeah, that's cool. You guys, Jonathan, that's the actual Jonathan. That's not just some other guy. That's really cool. Thank you for stopping in, buddy. I was telling the people that it's just so miserably cold today. I thought that it would be more fun to do something like this than be outside freezing my ass off trying to get some old junker to start. So here we are. Shoehorn Jackson. Cheers. Wow, Mike Watson has a 60 Impala. That's cool, man. Cheers, buddy. Shoehorn Jackson asking if any plans for the 50 Buick. Yes, when the 59 is done, like even if the engine's done and the car's not finished yet, as soon as that engine is assembled and out of there, I'm going to start building an engine for the 50 Buick. The engine that's in the car is the one that we cobbled together for the straight 8 showdown, and it is very, very bad. But when I bought that Roadmaster, it came with a completely disassembled and all machine work done and all the parts and everything new. So I have essentially a brand new 263 straight 8 for the 50 Buick. So that's how that project's going to start, by just building the engine first. Then, I do love, and I wasn't thinking about the 50 Buick too much till Dan got his 53 Olds Holiday, another beautiful GM hardtop of that era. And I was thinking, wow, I mean, if Dan's driving this 53 Holiday, I really should be able to come over here in a 50 Riviera. So that's the plan for the 1950. And it's very easy for me to say, oh yeah, let's we'll get at it. But I mean, every time I say yes, let's do that. Well, it's between 500 and 1,000 hours per car. So, and then trying to run this YouTube channel and edit the videos, and you got to have a number of cars going at any given time, just so that you're, for example, if the Rover was the only project I had going right now, all the videos for the last 3 months would be me sanding the insides of door jambs and stuff. So we got to do more than one car at a time, so that I'm not stuck filming stuff that is just really, there's nothing to watch there. So so that is something I have to be conscious of. And I know there's a lot of cars that people say you have to get on this and get at it, but it's really important to me to not be the guy that dies with 35 disassembled cars. I really intend, every one that I start, I intend to finish it. So if I have 3 taken apart right now, at least 1 or 2 of them have to get done, and then we'll start on something else. Like I started on the 59 Buick, but that's because the Renault project was small and it's wrapping up. And the Rover project is, it's still going, but we're certainly on the back half of that one as well. Boy, I'm a long-winded bastard. Sorry, guys. Hey, there's Elmer Fudd signing in. That's awesome. Thank you guys all for the comments. I'm sorry I can't keep up. Oh, Jason Hawley sent me $10. Well, thank you so much, buddy. Jason from Calgary, the guy that bought the Cadillac Fleetwood from the auction. Oh, that was cool. Yeah. Any chance you might have a get-together? I would consider it. I've done car shows before just for me and my friends. The trouble that I have with it is it takes a lot of organizing and cleaning up this place to make it presentable for public viewing. And if you spend a month cleaning the place up and getting everything organized and getting all my cars washed and cleaned and then it rains on that day, then it was all for nothing. And I have so little spare time that if we decide to do something like that, it's going to be very casual, and it'll probably be part of a driving thing, so that I don't have to spend a month trying to clean up my place. It could be something that maybe we start here and we all go somewhere else for burgers or drive around. So I consider it. Certainly I'd consider it, and it would be fun, but I got to be careful about overcommitting myself to the point. I mean, the whole point of the YouTube channel was it was supposed to help me finish building all these cars and sharing that. And so if I start spending more time with the videos and related things, then at a certain point it crosses a line to where less work is getting done on the cars because more work is getting done on the YouTube. So I really do try to take try to balance that kind of time commitment. So anyway, I hope that's an answer. Maybe. Thank you guys. Let me just see if I can get caught up here. Oh, hey, we're not as far behind as I usually am. Oh, Darren, you didn't have to do that. Thanks so much, buddy. Darren just sent me $10 for me just sitting here. Thanks so much, man. Your audio is over peaking. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't really know how to adjust that. It's showing that it's fine on the little thing here. Maybe I won't yell so much. How's that? Where do we stand on the silver Citroen? Waiting for the Rover to be done. The Citroen is a lot closer to being on the road than it looks, because it really mechanically is good, and the interior is good, and it doesn't need a lot of parts. It needs tires, exhaust, and body and paint. And there's a license plate sitting on the back seat. So the minute that car is done, I'm driving it. But I cannot, if I start taking that car apart before the Rover's done, there's going to be shit everywhere. It'll be just a disaster. So I really want to get Laura's Rover, at least my part of that job. I don't have to reassemble every little nut and bolt on that Rover, but I do have to have the body and everything, my part of that job, completely finished. So that's kind of what I'm up against there. And I'm itching to get at the SM. I've got, it'll be lots of fun. We got lots of panel work to create, and we've got lots of, it's a fun job. It's the worst of it's already done, really, which was just cleaning it up and getting it running properly. And so there's it's just a pretty straight ahead project there, and there's some money involved. Like a muffler for an SM is $1,000. Like, so it's not a car that bums like me usually should be trying to take on. Luckily, I was able to afford that car because it needed all the work that I could do, and not a bunch of work that I couldn't do. Like, I would never buy an SM with a broken engine. That's just kind of outside. I can build clunky old, junkyard V8s and stuff, but that Maserati engine, there's a whole lot to that. There's a lot of fussy kind of bullshit that I'm just not really into it. Like, I've driven the car a few times, and I tell you, like, I absolutely loved the car. Like, I drove it around the block, and I was like, this is the most amazing car I've ever driven. So I'll do whatever it takes to get that on the road. But yeah, I'm not buying the tires and exhaust and everything until the body work is done. And I'm still trying to pick a color, leaning towards brown or blue, or possibly the same blue as my wagon. Lots of time for that. Still a lot of it's actually surprisingly good car. It's literally, I need to finish Laura's Rover so that I can put that, all those pieces will be gone, because there's doors and hoods and trunk lids just all over the place. And if I strip down the SM, there's going to be so much shit everywhere I won't be able to walk. So I'm really trying to, one of the reasons why I took the door off the Buick and brought it inside was so I didn't have another car inside. Like, there's a lot of space inside, but there's a lot of cars and a lot to go and a lot going on. So anyway, long live the Empire of Darts. Cheers, you guys. Yeah, I'll try and get Al over here to do a classic darts with Justin one day, but Al's very busy too, and he's got 5 of his own cars underway. So we just have to hope we get some of Al's time sooner or later. Keith's here. Hey, Keith. Cheers, buddy. Keith was over just yesterday or day before helping me sand Rover parts, so that's cool. Keith he'll probably live to regret coming over here. Murray asked, any plans to get the 41 Plymouth Road King on the road as a survivor? Yeah, that's why it's inside. Cars that I think are worth saving kind of get put inside. 41 Plymouth is one of the candidates I thought might get the Packard Straight 8, just as a kind of a fun 1940s kind of hot rod idea. The car does run and drive, and that's why it's inside. But that would be a no paint car, and I kind of think that no paint cars you should be able to do in a year. So I'm waiting till I have a spot. I might put the traction Avant away where the Plymouth is and quickly run the Plymouth through. It's really a matter of doing brakes, tires, a little bit of welding, and a full interior and wiring. So it's not a small job, but it's not garbage, that thing. William Helps, way to go with the black car. Thanks so much, William. John S. Hi from Chicago. Cheers. J. Patton, $5 roaster needs to be bumped on the list. Yeah, I know. God, that's the thing, is that, I mean, I walk by it every day, and I'm like, well, when are you going to finish this, you dummy? And I mean, again, it's one of those things where the cars that do best and help the YouTube channel the most are the cars that are relatable. So the cars like the SM, like, nobody got dropped off at swimming lessons in an SM, or not many people. Nobody's mom had a homemade jalopy race car. So those, as much as that's fun for me, that stuff, I understand that I can't, I was working on the Roadster car, and then I started the 60 Fury, which did, of course, much more relatable car, and did much better business for the channel. So, since it didn't matter to me which one I did, I was happy to work on either one. Well, once I started the Plymouth, of course, then there's a whole group of people who were saying, well, you're never going to finish that, or now you've made a mess, or whatever. So then I felt like, well, I better finish that start to finish completely done, and then I can say, there. Does anybody still have any questions about whether I was going to finish this? So whereas the Roadster, I know I want to finish it. Tom gives me shit about it every day. It comes back to there always seeming to be a car that is easier, that kind of gets pushed in front. And Laura's car, well, I really can't justify starting any major projects for myself, or finishing any major projects for myself, as long as Laura's 1,000-hour Rover project is sitting there. So that's really priority. But of course, I can't, just so much of the work and so many of the hours on that are just stuff I'm not filming. So thank you guys all so much for bearing with me through this slightly difficult time in terms of trying to make interesting videos when 60% of my time in the week is spent just sanding tedious little bullshit stuff inside of doors. And I'm not going to make you watch that. But it only leaves me with half of the time that I would like to have to build the videos and the other cars. So once the Rover project wraps up, things will become a lot easier, and cars will move along faster because cars for me don't have to be as nice as cars for Laura. What's the story behind the disassembled Citroen behind the wall in one of the barns? Yes, that's another project that we could get to. That's a very it's most of the hard work is done on that. I know people say what hard work done, but that's just a project that got started, and it's just so much got put in front of it, and it's behind the wall there. And I just thought, what happened is a lot of the parts got used to finish my friend Mark's car because there was a real hard deadline on that. So a lot of my good trim and pieces and interior and seats and all that stuff all got used to finish the blue one that went to Montreal. So my car is kind of sitting back there. I think we're going to work out a plan with Steven, because Steven has a DS as well, and his is quite rusty and quite poor body-wise, but it's complete, and it's a nice model. It's a Palace model with a leather interior and all that. So I think in the future, I will probably talk to Steven, and we will probably, whether I own it or he owns it, we'll decide that at the time. But I think that my car is, at this point, requiring a second car to put it together. So that's kind of why it's just sitting there. All the hard work is done on it, the rust work, all the sills are repaired and everything. So it's a very doable car. But when you take one of those cars apart to the last nut and bolt, which it is, like everything is out of that car, that is not a car that you can put together in a weekend. Those things are a challenge, and it is completely gutted. So and again, with the way that weirdo French cars do on YouTube, it's not like there's 50,000 new subscribers going to sign up if I start putting that car together. Probably the opposite of that will happen. So anyway, that's the story on that one. It's been sitting back there a long time, but it'll go. Kyle's here. Kyle Carter. When are you going to install the T-tops in your TA? Oh, soon, buddy. Soon. I'm hoping to find some nice TA T-tops in the junkyard. We'll just cut them in there. Maybe you come over and do it. You do a better job than me anyway. I'm going to get a package sent to you soon featuring Classic Darts care package. Oh, right on. Try not to wait a year to do mail. Yeah, thanks so much. That's from Stranger Sound. Cheers, you guys. And Carrie asks about how about the Fury wagon. All right. I mean, that's a massive one, but that's a car that I think it ticks all the boxes that I really, really want it. I have all the parts to do it. And I think it'd be a fun YouTube kind of adventure project, because it's going to be a pretty involved amount of work, and it's going to be a pretty epic car when it's finished. So yeah, the Fury wagon, if we're thinking about cars that would make me happy and do well on YouTube, that bumps that car up the list. Probably ahead of some other cars that I'd really like to do as well. So anyway, that's another massive one, right? Like, they're just I'm kind of waiting for some of my friends to retire so that we can all just work on my cars. But it's funny enough, it's not happening. Sorry, I'm trying to find. Oh, Do Glue Garage. Didn't see my first. I'll repeat it. Looking to buy a 37 and 46 Dodge 4-doors for my cab cover. Yeah, well, I think that's a great idea. They're super easy cars to. Well, Franker's not going to sit here. I'm going to move. Oh, there we go. For sure, those cars can be very, very, very reliable cars. I think that's a great idea. I considered going into the hire a car business with Richard when we both had our DSs on the road, and I just realized that I just don't have the time for it. I just don't. Hey, look, there's Miles. Cheers, buddy. Tune in for a bit. Too damn cold to do much else. Yeah, get out there and put your Plymouth together, you pirate. That's funny. Yeah, Miles didn't get a chance to get out this week, but we'll definitely have him out as soon as he's feeling up to it, and maybe as soon as it warms up enough. It's going to be cold for the next week or so, so it's going to be a matter of me trying to film whatever's in whatever building's warm enough to work in. So, Jonathan, again, quit sleeping. It's overrated. Yeah. Well, if anybody would know, it would be Jonathan, the guy who makes us all look pretty lazy. Like, he's probably done more work before I get up than I actually get done. So anyway, I'll try to catch up here, guys. Sorry. Have a live show with the band at one of your parties, says Larry. Yeah, I'm considering that. It would involve a gigantic amount of infrastructure upgrades. I'm kind of thinking along the lines. The trouble with this whole process is it's very relentless, and there's not like a chance like, okay, we need to shut everything off for 2 weeks and upgrade all of the following infrastructure. It's just, it's easy to say that, but it's very difficult to actually do it. So I'm gonna start thinking about that. I thought about it, and I would like to maybe do my birthday party, Halloween party, do it as a big live thing with all the bands and the fellows and stuff. But part of the fun of all that stuff is that it is just casual, and I would be, if we were going to broadcast the whole thing, then I'd want to make sure everybody was rehearsed and it was all really tight and professional sounding, and then now you've taken the fun out of it because it's supposed to be very loose and casual and whatever. So a balancing act there again. And I put a little bit in for the show, just because it makes me laugh and seeing us and having fun. And so it's balancing, keeping it fun with what you want to do. So thank you, though. It's very kind that you would suggest that. There. I used to get a ride home from band practice in a traction Avant. That's awesome. Stranger Sound, is that the Miles? Yes, it is the Miles. Hi, Jonathan, again. Yes. No more birthdays. Yeah. You guys. Sorry, guys. I just want to get caught up. Make sure that. Oh, there we are. Oh, Zinc Orby. Thanks so much, man. Says, sorry, can't give $10 on iPhone. Well, $9.99 is very kind. No worries. Thanks. Sorry, I'm so far behind you guys. I did not expect this. How many people are on here? There's got to be like 50 people watching. What's going on here? Anybody know? Oh, there's going to be some ads. Sorry, guys. This is part of the deal here. Sorry about that. Maybe not everybody got ads, but I don't know. Anyway, 822 people. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. I'll tell some jokes or something. Holy shit. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a lot of people. Now I'm all freaked out. So what are you gonna do? Okay. Sorry. I'm just trying to get caught up, you guys. Sorry. Just oh, and there's Randall too. Sorry, guys. And Heather. Tom gives you shit about most things. Yeah, that's right. Tom came by today. Everybody knows, because some of you are probably at least as old as me, that people of senior citizen status love discussing the weather. So I don't ever have to check what the weather's going to be, because Tom always knows exactly to the minute when it's going to start snowing and how cold it's going to be and what the wind chill is. And Tom loves that shit. He knows about the weather, so I never have to look it up. I actually did the other day just for laughs, and of course, it was the Tom forecast was more accurate. Yeah. So you guys say hi to Randall and Shopcat and Carter and Oh my. And Jonathan, of course. This is crazy. We start these when going to Taco Bell. Yeah, sorry about that. That's all right. You're not missing much. Mark from New Zealand. Cheers, Mark. Hey, I gave your brochure to Dan, the police car one, and he loved it. So it's up on his wall with the rest of his stuff. And just wanted to say thank you again for that. Crack open a beer. Right on, buddy. Yeah, I guess Mark's in New Zealand where it's not. It's probably plus 37 there instead of minus. So that's awesome. Hello from PEI. Would you ever fix up one of Dean's shitty LTDs? I love your Fury the most. Thank you. No. I would if I had nothing else to do. Absolutely. If I had no cars of my own and Dean was standing here with a shitty LTD, sure. But it's just there. I just have way too much to do. I can't even get through my own cars. Like I got cars that have been. It's it's just crazy amount of cars, and so I'm really trying to like, okay, stop buying cars, start fixing them, and I'm getting through them. Like I've put a lot of cars together, and once Laura's car is done, then it's really I'm hoping to concentrate mostly on my own and do a lot of. I really had a lot of fun doing Miles's car. I love the 2-week marathon thrash because you can make such a difference and you can save somebody so much grief. 2 weeks of really hard grind just makes a project. Once you get it over that body and paint hill, then now it's just fun again. Now you're like tink, 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 putting on the trim and the emblems and all that, put the seats in and shine up the rims and all that bullshit. It all takes time, but you got to get over that, get it painted hump. And then, and I really enjoy if I can bring that, if I can help my friends with that, and then the rest, they all work harder than me once that is done. So that's awesome. Do I know an upholstery guy in Saskatchewan? Kyle's jacket. Yeah. Kyle, I haven't been to Saskatchewan very much recently. Kyle is the upholstery guy. That's funny. So let's see. Sorry, I'm going to try to get caught up. Wouldn't worry about Dean. He's a professional. Yes. Darren asks how the chicken truck is. I love the chicken truck, man. That is so awesome. Keep at the. Samuel, I know about the put pictures on Patreon thing. I'm still trying to figure that out because now it has gone to a mobile app, and so I'm gonna, if I have to, I'll set up a web page for us to just do that separately because it is a bit frustrating because I was really enjoying the people posting their cars in the community section. So I will personally make sure that we sort that out. Thank you for pointing that out again, though. Jason wants to know if you heard of any parts for the 57 Fleetwood. Oh, cool. Everything about getting an Imperial. It'd be another situation where it would have to come along. Thank you for $10, by the way, Jason. That's extremely kind of you. Because a lot of cars come by. Anyway, a lot of cars cross my path, even forward look cars and this type of thing. But I had to, I've decided, because I've had opportunities to buy nice DeSotos and Chryslers and Imperials and whatever. But if I want the 57 to 61 Plymouth two-door hardtops, that's enough, for one guy to build 5 of those cars and of course, they're all starting from pretty rough stuff, except for the 59, which is a totally different situation. For me to do that, it just means if I'm going to pick, to me, if I start buying DeSotos and Dodges and Imperials and stuff, none of that is moving me towards the goal of all of my favorite Plymouth hardtops at this point. So I thought, it's a nice way of avoiding buying more cars than you can do is just say, if it's not this little box that's what I'm going to try and do. 57 to 61 Plymouths. If it doesn't fit in there, I have to let it go. And, I love the fuselage cars, but I thought, well, you don't really need 5 of those. So pick the one you want. And the one I wanted was a 72 Sport Suburban. When that came along, I bought it. Now, you know, now of course if a 72 Imperial came along and it was $1,500, one owner, man, of course I'm going to buy it. But I'm not going to buy a junkyard one and pretend that I'm going to magically find 2,000 hours to fix it. It's just not happening. So I really am trying to concentrate on my, you know, being a little more realistic about the number of cars that I might live to redo. You know, and so much of it is made possible by having, you know, people here, you know, come along with us, and it makes it possible. Otherwise, I'm still, you know, I'm fixing parking lot bullshit. So, you know, thanks everybody for watching. Anyway, it's that's how it's happening. So, I'm gonna have to skip ahead a bit just because I'm getting way behind again. Sorry, guys. Mike Michaud, $20 for towards the heating bill. Thank you so much, Mike. That is very kind. The heating bill does get a little insane here in the winter. I was actually out in the cold the other night hammering up more insulation around my doors because the furnace is running almost full time, and I got one in the house and then one in the barn and one in the shop. So like every room I go into is just going with gas and money going up the chimney. But you know, like the nice thing about winter is that it's knowing that those furnaces are running really motivates me to get out there and work, because otherwise those furnaces are running for no reason. So that's something about winter that I've come to appreciate, is that it does, you know, it's nice to know that I've got a nice warm shop out there, and it's also kind of motivating to know that that nice warm shop out there is costing you $20 a day to just keep it warm. So you better get out there and use it. So how does a storage room look as you finish cars? Coyote Fur Trumpet. Well, I've got the garage for the drivers, which is just the big long barn with cars parked behind each other, and then there's a lean-to with more cars in there, and then the Model T has its own little garage. I am running out of room for finished cars, which is great. I mean, that means that I have more finished cars than unfinished cars. So, you know, I'm going to have to start thinking about some more, like making some room. I've got a plan to put both the Renaults in with the unfinished Citroen, but it means that I got to go in there and I got to move a lot of parts and a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if my biggest problem is that I have, you know, not enough room for all my finished cars, that's great. That means that because when I first moved here, I had only unfinished cars, and now I have enough cars that, you know, I mean, that's great. Now it's all insurance and plates and gas and oil and tires and mufflers and batteries and all that bullshit. And at a certain point, I suspect within the next 10 years that it will become a full-time job just keeping the running ones running. Right now, I'm still able to drive the ones that are finished and keep adding to the pile. But I think eventually I'm going to have to get to the point where I will have to say, okay, if I'm going to try and put this car on the road, then one of these is getting parked, and that's okay too, or sold. I'm not really big into selling them, but you got to be realistic. I mean, eventually it becomes unlikely or unrealistic to try and maintain for one per. And I don't even go anywhere. Like I don't leave the yard. Like I don't have anywhere to go. So for me to have 25 cars with plates on them, I mean, it's difficult to even get them so the tires don't have flat spots. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a problem I'm happy to have, I guess, is the short answer. Brian Van Beek says the 50 stick shift Buick is worth restoring at 51, and it's much more fun and practical to drive. Yeah, I do love the stick shift. That has bumped that car up for sure. The fact that it's a stick makes it quite enjoyable. Now, hang on a second here. Somebody sent 57 Buick Century sent $100. Jeez, dude, like buy yourself a few more bits and a few more beers. Well, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. That's just craziness. Like, okay, yeah. Well, that's terrific. Thank you. That's not why I do these, but certainly not going to turn it down. That's just very, very kind of you. Sounds like somebody that I would get along with. 57 Buick is a lovely car. I'm assuming that's not the name your parents gave you, but in fact one that you may have given yourself. That is awesome. Yeah, so I got lots of Buick stuff in the future, so that's awesome. I'm going to back up a bit because I must have skipped over 40,000 comments here. I will try to keep up, you guys. 800, like, man, what's going on? Hello from Ontario. When will Frankers get a friend? Thank you, Shelley. Hello from Alberta. I don't know. I've thought about it, and I'm thinking about it still. I'm thinking about getting Frankers a friend, but I also remember that when I got Frankers, I had forgotten how much work puppies were. So I'm waiting to see. They're dogs are a gigantic responsibility that I take very seriously. So if the right situation came along, I definitely would. I don't think that 2 dogs are a hell of a lot more work than 1, but they are more work. And certainly if you get a puppy, you got a year and a half of your life, which is puppy, and and you owe it to the dog. So we'll see. I'm certainly not averse to getting another dog, but it's a huge responsibility and not one that I would ever consider lightly. Like I thought about, when Stella was getting older, it took me 2 years to make the decision about Frankers, and then finding the right breeder, and then they want to meet you, and it's a big deal, and I'm okay with that. I don't like the idea of people getting dogs without really considering how much of your life is going to go to that. So Brian asked, what color clear goes on the Rover? Well, the Rover is single stage paint, so that is going to be that's unless your question was a word play, but yeah, it's single stage green. That is Arden green from Keith's car. We had a good scan, and I love the color. Laura loves it, so that's coming along. Harrison asks if we've ever gone live with Tom. No, Tom doesn't. He doesn't want to. If he was to show up right now, I would say, come on, Tom, let's go answer some questions, and he would say no. I don't even really like pointing the camera at Tom because it makes him uncomfortable. So for many years, you'll see if Tom's in the videos, because the camera is way sitting on the hood of a car somewhere 20 feet away, and I kind of that's about, Tom is it's not that he's camera shy, but he's not necessarily, he's, you guys know, it would be, I don't want ever to make Tom uncomfortable to the point where he says, you know what, I'm not going to go over and visit Scott because he's always pointing the stupid fucking camera at me. So that's why, I really try to keep, and it's the same not just with Tom, with lots of people. Like, if you are always getting in people's face with cameras, it makes them uncomfortable, and then next thing you know, your friends aren't coming over, or they, you say, hey, can I come over? And they're like, well, I just want to work on my car. I don't want, so I really want to, I'm really careful to not get pushy with it. And it is detrimental to the quality of video I can get, because so many times you want to really try and do a nice shot of something, but as soon as you make people uncomfortable, all of that natural conversation, all of that, everything that makes it feel real, all of that goes away when people feel like, okay, now you better do something funny, and so I really try to keep that to a minimum, and no more so than with Tom, who's, I don't think he even knew we had a YouTube channel up until maybe last year. I didn't really make a big deal out of it, and I never was one to point the camera at him. He's better for sure than he's certainly a lot less uncomfortable than maybe he used to be, but I still make a point, like, to never point the camera at him and ask him a question. Like, if the camera's going and we're talking, that seems to work okay. But to just have, and I think a lot of us can agree that doesn't really make anybody more comfortable. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. Cheers. Valgal Motors. Hey, Scott, how is the new Ford holding up? Oh, really good. Still driving my 65 Valiant convertible. Oh, that's good. Well, if there's one convertible that can handle the winter around here, it's a Valiant. They were always my favorite winter cars. I would have, if I had a chance to get a late 60s Valiant with a slant six for a winter car, I absolutely would. But they're getting to be, that's an old car now, and it's not a car that should be casually, driven into the ground as a winter car. And that's the thing with winter. I love the idea of the Fraser was supposed to be a winter beater. I love all that. I love the idea of classic winter beaters, but as soon as you're taking a classic car and driving it in the salt, are you doing it? Are you really doing it any favors? So, like, I got the Fraser all done, and even though it's kind of a junker, I was like, this car survived for 70 years, and it's not going to make 75 if I drive it in the winter. So I just kind of think of winter cars as kind of throwaways. So you have to be prepared that you are doing damage to a car if you use it in the winter. So I'm thinking the fully galvanized Volvo, that's a car that will take a long time to do any significant damage to it. And it's a Volvo, it's a librarian's car, so whatever. So who's the secret lady that's in the background running the camera? Yes. I'm sure that's another person who does not want to be on camera. So I respect that entirely, and very kind of her to help out. And I'm sure one of these days I'll talk her into it. But it's another thing with, not everybody is comfortable. I totally get that. So Shelly asks, would you ever do a Chevy muscle car like a 68 Camaro? Well, Dan DD bought them all. Dan actually phoned me the other day. How cool was that? Dan's awesome. If anybody wonders if he's legit, that guy, he is as broken in the head as anybody I can recommend. He thinks about cars all day, and then he goes to bed and dreams about cars and wakes up and thinks about cars. So we always have a laugh. I really like Dan a lot. But he's doing a Camaro right now. I think he's got two, and he's doing one. I was just watching it before we did this, actually. And I guess for me, I'm just really so busy concentrating on trying to build the cars that I always wanted. I guess if I had everything else done, but so I guess the short answer is I'm probably not going to, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that those are lovely cars. I guess I'm trying to save the cars that I wanted, and there's lots of people and support for cars like Mustangs and Camaros and VWs. Not that makes them easy to do, but it makes them, it means that there's a good support for those cars, and they're not going to go extinct. Whereas, some of the cars that I have are there's very little support for them, and if they're the cars that I want, then they're going to take that much longer to do. But I'm happy to do it. I don't mind the challenge of having to make your own parts. Michael says, would like to see the build on Tom's old Chevy. Oh, thank you, Michael. That is kind of something that might push its way to the top of the line, just because one of the reasons I started splicing the Fury was that I had the Dodge here, and I thought if I combine these two cars, then I have one less carcass lying around, so it actually gets rid of a car by doing this splice. So that is something I'm really looking forward to, and I think it makes for a fun video when you get to really get into heavy chopping them up and putting them together, and that little Biscayne that I got is really, I think it's as good as it looks. I haven't really gone crazy looking at it, but I mean, to find a 60-year-old car like that with good floors and good trunk floor and as much good tin on it as there is, fenders even, that is a real treat. So that is So I'm hoping that people would enjoy having us tear into that 60 Impala for sure. Everyone raising a mug of same old shit bourbon for Tom. Yeah, cheers, guys. We always look forward to Tom stopping in. I get to see him. Well, he probably comes by 4 times a week, more in the summer. Well, 4 in the summer, maybe 2 or 3 in the winter. I get to see Tom lots. He came by today, and he said, "I ain't going for a fucking walk with you and Frankers. It's too fucking cold." And he was right. So I had to put Franker's boots on today, so she's still not really forgiven me. She does not. She does not like the boots. Another question about the band doing a concert. I think some people don't know is there's the band with me and Ashley and my brother and Kevin and my friend Jay, and then there's another band. So sometimes if you see me playing guitar, that's one band. If you see me playing a bass, that's a different band. And those bands are very fluid. It's very much it's more about getting together with your friends. And if Kev can't make it and Pete wants to play drums, then we do it like that. And so for it to take it from that to something that's like, wow, we're gonna have 1,000 people watch and we're gonna have a concert, it takes it from something that's very casual and fun to now we're like, okay, now we have to rehearse because now we're going to do this live, and it can't be like, half the time we'll get halfway through the song and stop because somebody forgot the words or whatever, or in my case forgot the solo, and it was like, well, fuck it, So if we decide to do something like that, it would have to be a lot more put together than it currently is. So and that's fine. I could maybe make that commitment, but now I'm asking 10 of my friends to make a commitment of a pretty reasonable amount of time so that I can have a party on YouTube instead of just having a party with my friends. So that would be, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't made a ton of effort, because I do not want to ever commit my friends to stuff they wouldn't otherwise want to do just so that I can have a YouTube show. One of the reasons that I've been able to do this for coming up 15 years now is that I've try not to make my friends' lives worse because of it. So the exchange is, I'll come over and you've got my labor for whatever number of hours. In exchange, you let me film some of it and use it for the show, and then I come over and I'll try and give you a hand. And that way, at least I'm not here just wasting your time. I'm wasting your time and fucking up your car. So that's how I've been able to do it so far. So thank you guys so much for stopping in. Tom asks how I became friends with Tom. Well, Tom just he lived here for 20 years before I moved here. Tom moved here back in the late 80s, I think, and I bought this place in 2001. And I think he's retired. He just rides his bicycle around, and he just stopped in one day. And then I found out that he used to be a car painter, so we kind of hit it off, and we always talk about cars and car painting. And he's from Saskatchewan. I'm from Saskatchewan. He likes to swear. I like to swear. So we just hit it off, and Tom he keeps himself very busy, so he's always out and about. And if he's driving by and he sees that I'm out in the garage or whatever, he stops in, and that's it. We're not, I didn't know Tom before I moved here, but certainly I see him, as I was saying, probably 3-4 times a week now, and it's always good. And he likes to come by and bust my balls and shit, so it's awesome. Yeah. And now, of course, all the other fellows get to know Tom, and so it's really good. It's very organic and real, and that's how I know Tom. He's just my neighbor. Yeah. El Moore asks, why was there such a time crunch on Miles' Fury? Because if you give something a hard deadline, it stops you from you will put in 20-hour days instead of 5-hour days, so it gets the whole thing done that much faster. And any car, you can take any car and spend the rest of your life on it. So if the welding is done on a car, you should be able to body work it out and paint it in 2 weeks. And if it needs to be better than that, then we can make, you can make that decision. But to me, if we've got some friends over and we've got a car, and 2 weeks should do it. And it just stops it from snowballing into and then it never gets like, I'm never looking at my watch going, geez, Miles's car has been in my garage for 6 weeks now, and and nobody's working on it. This way, it's like, you got 2 weeks, and I'm, I will go 20-hour days for those 2 weeks. But then it's done, and it keeps it fun. It keeps it, and then it adds that little bit of excitement because it's not, you don't have this endless. Plus 2 weeks on Miles's car was not too bad because he'd already done all the welding, and the jams were painted, and the insides of the doors, but the inside of the trunk was done. So really 2 weeks to just tidy up the outside of the car and fit the panels and give it a paint job all in one color. 2 weeks is very doable. But even my own 60 Fury, like, I don't think I spent more than 2 or 3 weeks on the body work on that. That's if the welding is done and the jams are done, 2 weeks of hard grind should do just about, for what we're trying to do, which is make driver cars. And that's all I want to make. I don't have any interest in spending in making competitive cars, because if the only goal is perfection, you can get it to 99%, and then you can double the amount of time you spent on it and get it to 99.5, and you can double the time and again and get it to 99.75. You're never going to get it to 100, and all you're doing is making yourself miserable. So pick a line where you're like, this looks better than 99% of the cars that you're going to see. It doesn't need to look better than 100%. It just, because that puts 3 zeros on the amount of time it's going to take. So that's that's kind of my answer there. Is it keeps everybody moving, and it stops it from snowballing into a lifetime nightmare. And when you're done, you're always way happier that it's done than you are, and worrying about stuff that's so tiny. I mean, you forget all about it. You put the wheels on, you're out driving around. Nobody's going to be sad that you didn't spend an extra 7 months sanding the inside of the bottom of the fender lip. Like, go have fun, drive it around, start on the next car. And that's the big one for me, is if you want to get better, build more cars. Don't spend longer on each one. You'll get way better building 10 cars as fast as you can than spending as much time as you can on one car. Because that one car, by the time you get it done, the stuff you did first on that car, you won't be happy with. And I know this from personal experience. Build as many as you can, as fast as you can, if you want to get better. And if you're like, oh, I'm not really happy with how that went, who cares? Fuck it, paint it, get it done, on to the next one, and take all the lessons you learned and make the next car better. And you'll have more cars, more fun, and you'll be way better than if you just fiddle around for 3 years on every little aspect of one car. You'll never be happy. You'll never get any better. It's a nightmare. I hope that makes sense. Fred asks, any plans for the 403s? Not yet. I did buy a carb kit for the 403, and I want to get it running better, and then I want to see kind of how it goes. But I have a lot of projects, and the 403. I'll tell you, here's what would happen. If I started on that 403, I'd get halfway through it, and then a 403 wagon would come along, and I'd be like, shit, I wish I was doing the wagon. So I love the 403, and I have all the parts, and I can make it happen if I get enough stuff done and the pieces all fall into place. I could see, or I make the 403 into a fun beater, and I don't, and you get it roadworthy and don't paint it. But I was thinking today of starting on the grill for the 403, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, no particular plan for the 403 beyond getting it running better. I do like the cars a lot, and I've been watching way too much Peugeot 403 assembly line videos and watching how, I'm definitely into the car, but I like a lot of cars. Part of my problem is that I never was able to just say, okay, all I really want is this car. And, I mean, I just like so many different cars for so many different reasons that it makes it difficult to get it down to one or two. So Joe asks, how are the floor pans in your Buick and Miles' Buick? Their floor pans are really good. Trunk pans are good. My Buick needs work on the inner rocker panels at the front, just below the front doors. The outer rockers look good, but the inners are somehow rusted away. So the plan for that car is it's going to come off the frame, and I'm going to send the frame out to get painted and blasted and cleaned up. While that's happening, I will repair the bottom of the body while it's on the hoist, which I'm going to put up in the summer. And then we're going to lower the repaired body, which will probably be painted underneath, just black, nothing fancy. And I'm going to lower that down onto the painted frame, at which point we will drop in the driveline and hammer it all together. And then we'll see how fancy I want to get on the paint and body. But I'd like it to look like the Fury. I want it to look, nice. Doesn't need to be a showpiece, but I want it clean and straight and nice original colors with the correct tires, and just like the Fury is. Just, it's not a showpiece underneath. I'm not worried about chalk marks and the right style of hose clamps and that type of shit. I get that. If I only had one car, it would have all of that. I would have every hose clamp and chalk mark and all that bullshit would be just spot on. But it's not realistic when you're trying to run a fleet of 20 cars. That to have 20 concourse cars would be silly anyway. I never go to car shows, so it would just be silly. I just want them very nice to look at when they go down the road. But if there's if the wrong color overspray on the frame rails, I don't really give a shit. I'm not sure how far behind I am, guys. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me as I read questions from 20 minutes ago. Harrison's Garage Adventure. Will you ever make more stickers? Dean's Greasy Flips. Yeah, I think we have stickers at the store still. I do not know beyond that, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying. We try to do a little bit of marketing because anybody you guys know who do YouTube, it doesn't really pay very much. So if you're going to put the effort into YouTube, you need to use it as a vehicle for other things. And so without, and I hope that I find the balance between trying to do that and but not being obnoxious about it. So anyway, that's the basic thing with the merchandise and stuff. It is very, it's another balancing act between trying to do stuff that's really good and good quality and but not being like constantly beating people over the head with it. So I hope that I'm finding that balance anyway. Sorry, I'm just going to try and catch up here, you guys. David Axe signing off. Thank you so much, David. David has sent so much and been so kind to us for so many years on Patreon and sending mail. A lot of the models that you guys see at the little beginning of our show, that David has supplied some of those as well. So, yeah, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, as always, for being part of this. Jay Patton asks if Steven's Saab is still in the other building. Yes, it is. It's in the metal building. Steven has a full-time job now, and he bought himself a decrepit old acreage. Sounds familiar. And so he's not getting as much time on his Saab as he would like. But I do pester him as much as I can. We will definitely update everybody on the little yellow Saab as soon as, once it warms up. It's miserably cold now, but once it gets a little warmer, I'd like to see Steven back in there working on that a bit. He's doing an absolutely beautiful job of it, but like so many cars, it starts out as, I'm just going to patchy poo and then it kind of snowballs a bit. You're like, well, if I'm fixing that, I got to fix this. And next thing you know, okay, we're just making the whole bottom of the car from scratch. And that's kind of how it goes. And I get it. That's how she goes. So, sorry guys, I'm just trying to get caught up. Oh my, sorry guys, I don't know where we are. Sorry guys. Right, yeah, you guys figured out Dan's channel, yeah, for sure. And can we have another tour video like you did a few years showing all the finished cars and the future projects and parts vehicles? Oh, like a everything in the yard video. I did that video because I was driving to Montreal with the DS, and I needed a video that I could finish and publish while like from the road. So yeah, I was actually thinking of that because enough stuff has changed that it might be worth doing. I won't do it until it warms up though, because plus half the cars you can't even see right now; they're just covered in snow. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'd be happy to do that. What car do you think is the most overrated of all time that does not deserve its reputation? That's a fair question. I don't know if I'm qualified. I think in order to be qualified to answer that, I'd have to have owned all the top rated cars. So there's no way of me, I can't say, for example, that the Ferrari Testarossa is massively overrated because I've never driven one. So it of all the cars I own, what's the most overrated car? That would be tough as well, as I don't really own a lot of really highly rated. What I can tell you, the car that is not overrated is the SM. That car is fantastic, and the DS. Those two cars, they have a reputation as being, slightly esoteric, but very. And to me, I don't know. They're worth every bit of hassle that they provide. So as for overrated cars that I have. Like, did I ever buy a car and be like, nah, this wasn't really what I hoped it was? Not really. I mean, the only car I found kind of bland to drive was Volvo 240s, and no offense to everybody who has one. I thought it was okay until I drove a Saab the same year of Saab, and I was like, well, this is way more fun. So, but the Volvo was not a car that was like, you didn't buy a Volvo because everybody said it was so amazing, fast, and fun to drive. You bought it because it was cheap and it would be almost impossible to kill. So, yeah, I guess I'm not really qualified on that one. I would love to drive more highly regarded cars, but it just doesn't come my way, honestly. So, let's see. See if I can get caught up a little bit, you guys. So, there. Oh, hello, Randy from Quebec. Cheers, Randy. Very good. Scott says, thanks for turning me on to Strong's Garage. Oh, you're welcome. Those guys are awesome. Yeah. Let's see. How did you get hooked on the French car so I could be sure not to do whatever that was? Well, I got hooked on French cars because it's a fair question. I think part of it was I've been into cars for so long, like, and you can liken it to drugs or music or whatever. And if you're into music forever and ever and ever, and all you do is listen to music, and you listen to, sooner or later, you end up listening to weirdo jazz and, stuff like that. And the French cars are kind of the equivalent of that. Like, if you're into drugs your whole life, sooner or later, you're doing some pretty weird drugs to get off. And ditto with cars. Like, if you've been addicted to cars your whole life, sooner or later, you move over to the jazz heroin of cars, which is Citroen and stuff like that. They maybe, I think that's got a lot to do with it. I mean, certainly having owned a lot of not French cars, then you get French cars and you suddenly see, oh, well, there's a whole other world out here. And not just French cars, but European cars that are not common around where I live. Like, where I grew up in Western Canada here, like, I don't think I saw a Porsche until we went and visited Vancouver. Like, there was just every car around here was a custom 500 or a Plymouth Satellite or a Chevy Nova, or like, there was, if you were really weird, you might, like, I don't even think we saw Toyotas until I was, till I was in junior high school. Like, nobody, even Japanese cars were considered very weird, like, who's so I guess it was just a massive overexposure to everything that was not that. And then realizing one day, it was just trying to explore beyond what was right in front of me. And, you know, I mean, after you can do only so much of the same thing over and over, and then eventually you're like, oh, and I guess maybe part of it is that it bugged me that there were cars out there that I knew absolutely nothing about, and so I wanted to look into them. And then the more I looked into them, I was like, this is actually pretty fascinating stuff. And then you get one and you're like, okay, this is like super weird and really fun and interesting. And then yeah, not to mention just I like the philosophy of French cars. Their philosophy is that going somewhere should not be punishment. It should be as enjoyable to get somewhere as it is to be there. So that's kind of the philosophy that I think French cars, or at least, you know, properly old French cars. I don't really count, you know, all modern cars are essentially Camrys, so I don't really consider any of them to be superior to the other or even vaguely interesting. Frankly, I don't rate modern cars at all, because there is no philosophy behind them beyond take people's money and blow up 1 kilometer after the warranty is up. Modern cars have no, you know, personality as far as I can tell. Not that they're shit. I mean, they're all very competent at being cars, but where's the fun in that? I don't find that to be interesting at all. So let's see if there's Kyle Carter wants his money back. Sorry guys, I'm trying to catch up here. Did I sell the Bondo door Dodge? I did. I gave it to Dean, who sold it, and I told him, get me the door back if you're selling it, and of course he never did. Oh, I just want the door. I don't care about the car. I wanted the door back because that was cool. So let's see. Am I a twin? No, I'm not. My brother is 2.5, no, almost 2 years younger than me. Is it true I uttered the words Plaza Project? Yes. Stay tuned. That will be a while, but the 57 Plymouth Plaza, I have an idea for that. So that will be something fun, I think. Let's see. Bruce says, I'm not a 403 fan, but a wagon might change my mind. Yeah, cheers. Do I ever use Frankers for a chick magnet? No, not really. I mean, I don't take Frankers out in public just because the only place, I mean, I can take her to a dog park, but my yard is a dog park. So I don't really, no, I don't really do anything that is particularly chick magnet focused. So, very fun question, but not so far anyway. Carl, thank you so much, buddy. Carl says, can't wait to see Laura's car finish. Well, thanks, man. Me too, honestly. And not just so that it's done, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing, like, I think you guys will, I hope everybody kind of understand why it took so long when we do get to see it done. I'm really going to make an effort to make that car look quite nice. So that's coming up, and I'm certainly, I would like to see paint on all of the doors by the end of next week. That leaves me with only the hood and trunk lid to paint, and then I want the car back here for reassembly, and then things will start to pick up speed. So, but I know Laura's husband Colin is doing the mechanical work on the car, and he's running a very large farm, and it's a very busy. He's very busy. I've never known Colin to have any spare time. So we're trying to jam an extra car restoration on top of all the other stuff he's already doing. Plus they're building the cabin, plus they're building a road, plus they're maintaining 750 farm vehicles, and dealing with all the bureaucracy of trying to build all of those above things. And it's just a gigantic, it's a gigantic amount of work. So, shoebox Ford future, Gary asked. No plans. I'd like to see the car saved. If it does get built, it would be probably not for me, only because I have so many cars of my own underway. The shoebox Ford is really cool. We will see. I mean, it'd be neat to see my brother or Ashley decide they want to take it on, but we can't pretend that is not a massive welding project, because it is. So, That's yeah. So let's see. Jay asked, what kind of stabilization should I weld to my 61 Chrysler two-door hardtop to cut out the rusty rear rails? I would say you would want to stabilize it, well, more or less parallel to what the rails were doing, right? So if you're going to keep the rear panel underneath the deck lid, I would run struts from the back of the inner rocker panel to the rear deck lid so that that cannot sag, or so that panel can't sag when you cut it out. And yeah, that would be the biggest thing. I guess no, I guess are we assuming that the wheel tubs and everything are intact? I mean, they're a major structural item. So if the quarters are rusted around where they go to the wheel tubs, then all of that is very free to fall down when you cut out the rails. So yeah, that's a tricky one. If you, yeah, I without seeing it, Jay, I mean, I don't think, if everything else is intact and it's just the rails, you shouldn't even need very much. And if you got to cut out the whole floor and the tubs and everything else, then I would do something to, I don't have any toy cars, believe it or not. I don't have a toy car in front of me right now to kind of illustrate. But anyway, I would, if this is your car, I would weld a strut from the back of the rockers that way so that when you cut all that away, that the back of the car can't do this, and support it at the torque boxes. I'm assuming that the torque boxes are okay, and put that in there. Better yet, support it on the axles before you take the diff out, and weld the strut in there with the weight in its natural position. That, because when you support it by the torque boxes, the car is going to want to do that. So I would support it by the axles with the diff still in it, then brace everything up, then cut the rails out. Depending, I think you'll find that you have to cut so much before stuff starts getting, too crazy. If you're cutting the rails and leaving the trunk floor because it's okay, that'll help too. Yeah, just a lot, just common sense stuff. I don't go absolutely crazy bracing stuff up for when I'm doing it. Like, mostly I'm bracing it so that stuff can't get kinked, or like when I cut the Plymouth apart, I had braces from the door jambs up to the top of the A post, but mostly so that the roof couldn't kink and fall down or break the window. Because when you put the car together, everything's a little loosey goosey, and you want to be able to move it a little bit. So as soon as it's possible, you want to get the braces out of there, and then kind of, and I ended up pushing the cowl up a tiny bit on my car and stuff, and it all worked fine. Yeah, don't go, you don't need to go as crazy as maybe you think you do, I guess. That's about all I can say. It's not, the real work is getting them out without making a mess of everything and getting the new ones trimmed up and fitted back in there. And if you use common sense and you watch your gap to your door, and you watch just watch all your gaps, and they'll tell you what's going on. And if it doesn't move too much, don't be surprised. Yeah. And go for it. Like, there's nothing about these cars is impossible to repair, and they're totally worth it. That's cool. So I hope that answers your question, buddy. Yeah, I mean, don't overthink it. Don't go crazy. It'll work out great. Snowden Canadian asked, sorry guys, I don't even know where we are. Sorry guys. Snowden Canadian said it would be nice to see Tom's old Impala back on a solid frame. Yes, that is the plan, and I do have a lovely frame and floor and rockers and everything for it. So, hey, Jonathan's still here. Jonathan says all German cars are overrated. I currently am not. I don't have any German cars right now. The last one I had was that Mercedes that Mark is driving now, and Oh, I see. We're back at the overrated cars thread here. Sorry, I don't even know where we are right now. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to. Oh, John Christensen, another fine patron of the show, asks how many of the fleet are currently licensed and registered. I believe it's 13 if you include the motorcycle. Right? Can't really go through them all right now, but I believe that it's 12 plus the bike, and that includes the pickup truck as well. But if we get 3 or 4 Furies and the Citroen, the Fraser, and the 37 Chevy, and the Model T, and the drivers, yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. I think about 13, yeah. And this year I'll have at least, my goal is to have at least add one every year. So this year already we'll have the Renault added, and that was an easy one. But it's still, I mean, there's still a couple of 100 hours of work to get that thing done. So that's awesome. I'd like to keep adding a car every year, or maybe 2 cars. So last year I didn't have the 37 Chev on the road at the start of last year, and then I drove it most of the summer. I just absolutely loved it. And Jonathan's got to give up making excuses for liking French car because there is no good reason. Oh, come on. One of these days, I'm going to ship one to you, Jonathan. Jonathan says he has no 59 Buicks. Well, what the hell? That's awesome. Let's see. Laura's cabin update. Yeah, as soon as it's realistic. I'm kind of waiting until they at least start putting some logs on. The basement is dug, which we saw, and all of the concrete is poured. So there is something now to start building. But honestly, the amount of time spent working on it is inconsiderate compared to the amount of time spent on the phone getting permits and all this type of bullshit. I told them when they started that, I said, just build it and deal with the bullshit later. And they all were like, no, we have to do it right. And after 6 months of bureaucracy, Laura and Colin are kind of like, maybe we should have just said to hell with it and built the thing. So we will see. I know, and I joking, obviously you can't just whistle up a house out of 300-year-old stuff and just say, screw all your rules. I mean, but if the people you had to deal with to put that stuff together weren't so infuriating, maybe less people would have that opinion. But it's just that is a realistic situation. That it's just this stuff, dotting the T's or whatever, it just takes so long. Just takes so long. So let's see if there's any. I saw an ad for one of Dean's cars. He needs about 100 more ads. Yeah, he sells the odd car. M asks, have I ever driven a Miata? Yes, I have. Yeah, a fine car. It's not my kind of car, I guess, but it is there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, there's a reason they sold millions of them. It was a massively successful car. And I guess if I lived somewhere where the roads were a little sportier, part of the problem with living where I live is if I want to go to somebody's house, I go to my driveway and I turn right, and then it's a straight line for X number of miles, and then I'll turn right or left again, and then you just go in a straight line for X number of miles, and then you shut your car off. So like living around here, even like all of our motorcycles, unless you go out of your way to find some roads, like the motorcycles around here, all the tires are just bald in the middle, and the nibs are still on the sides, the nibs of shame. So it is like to the point where we go out of the way, even for the show where I'm filming the cars, if we want to, like there's 2 or 3 spots where I drive to every time, because at least there's a bend in the road because it goes around a little body of water. But we literally like most of the driving around here is just, you can see the horizon, and the road is just a black thread going right to the horizon. So there would be reasons to have sportier cars if I lived somewhere that it paid. Like if I lived in the mountains, I would probably have, I would have something that was fun to toss around. But we live around here, you got a Newport, and you just got a pinky finger on there, and you can kind of doze off and wake up when you get there. There's not a lot of challenging driving or roads around here. So, hey, Mexican Spec, how's it going? Cheers. Thanks for stopping in. Sorry if I'm missing so many. Holy cow. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody sent, Dan Roach sent $20. Come on, every person watching this should donate $1 to help this channel. Thank you so much, Dan. Well, that is very, very kind of you. And yeah, Dan, you've sent us money before. That's enough of that, buddy. That's very kind of you, man. You guys, I certainly didn't do this for that reason, but it is very, very kind of you. Mexican asked if I need 2 Renaults registered. Not really, but do you really need anything? Like the black one, once it's done, will be kind of it'll be a nice days kind of car, or a car. I mean, I might be able to. All I know is that car was in such good condition that the effort to put and get it back on the road is impossible to lose. So, I don't really need 2 Renault. I don't need any. I mean, I don't need any cars at all, I guess. But the gold one will continue to be the daily driver, as it is. The interior is suitable to driving it in dirty coveralls, and it's been a hammer. Like I've driven it a lot, and so it's proven itself very reliable. And the black car, my nieces really love the black Renault. Well, they like both the Renaults, and so if I end up holding on to it until one or more of my nieces decide that they absolutely have to have it, that's okay too. I'm not in a hurry to get rid of anything, and it was just one of those cases where that car came along, and it was the series of lucky coincidences that put it back on the road. It was it didn't really make any sense to say no. Do I need it? No, you don't need anything. But I do love having it. And the little black one is, if I could only keep one, I'd keep the black one. But I don't know. Like I just like cars way too much. I guess that's part of the problem. So 1 plate for 2 cars, yeah, that's not a bad idea. If I guess I could paint them both the same color, but then I really don't need to if they're both the same. Mundane Man donated $10 to this nonsense. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, that's very kind of you, man. That is very, very, very generous, and helps keep the old show going here. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see if there's any questions we can answer that we can attribute to Mundane Man. Oh my God. Sorry guys, let me get caught up here. What happens is the little chatty thing, right? It's going up the side, and that's fine. And so I'm trying to keep up, but if I scroll down, it jumps right to the bottom, and it does it instantaneously. So I don't see that. It doesn't look any different to me than so it might skip 200 lines, and it doesn't look any different to me. So that's why it's why you see people who are good at YouTube usually have somebody else doing this part. I'm not any good at any of this. We're having fun though. So anyway, so that's why you have to keep scrolling back up, because I keep missing the questions and the super chat donations and all this stuff. So I will try my best here. Miles says, Kevin, I hope you drive the Fury this summer. Yeah, keep at it, buddy. That's right. Get out in your garage. Quit hanging around the house. Miles works harder than most people, and maintains multiple suites for other people. So is there any cars on the chopping block that might go up for sale? I don't actively try to sell the cars because most of them, like if I've got a nice car, like a finished car, if I wanted to sell my 59 Fury or something, which I don't, if I did, I would put some effort into, making proper advertising and trying to do my best to get real money for a nice car. As for the yard cars, the thing with them is they don't have enough value that I want to go through the effort and the time of having people come out. And anybody who's watching this has tried to sell a car, and just the kind of nonsense that you have to put up with. And people will come out and they will waste your time for the entire afternoon, and then they have to ask their wife, or then they have to do some other. Not that you shouldn't ask your wife. You should ask her first before you come and look at the car and waste my afternoon. But people don't. And so I don't really try to sell the cars. Sometimes if somebody's in my yard and it's somebody I know and they're like, hey, do you, would you sell that to me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And my policy is talk to my friends, figure out what you think it's worth, be realistic, put the money in an envelope and take the car. And I'm not even going to count it. That's just whatever. Because I'm not, life's too short to nickel and dime about junker project car stuff. So what would I sell right now? I would sell, my policy is if a car should be restored and I'm not going to get to it, then it means I would sell it. Doesn't mean that I'm trying to sell it. It just means that I would. I would sell the 56 Plymouth 4-door. That's actually a really nice solid car that runs well. It's got a good engine and transmission in it. I would sell that car. It's a nice original paint car. It probably should be saved. I'd hate to see it turned into a parts car. But am I writing ads for it, and am I trying and taking phone? No, I don't care, because it's not really worth enough that I have to I gotta sell it, because time is worth way more to me than money. So if something is time is something that we all only get so much of, regardless of how much money you have. So I very much err on the side of my time, as opposed to try and squeeze a few more dollars out of whatever junkers are out there that I just bought, because it ended up a lot of cars. I'll buy them just because it's already in my yard, and there's cars that I want, but if it's going to take me 2 days to go get it, it's not happening. Because the time is the thing that's hard to get, not the money. Michelle, thank you so much. Michelle said it's $3 and didn't even ask me any questions. Well, that's very kind of you. We'll say that you paid for the last question. Office help sent $20. Oh, well, you guys, that's just crazy. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Please subscribe. No, that's great. You guys are very kind to put up with an old man here. I guess it's coming up 8 o'clock. I don't know how much longer I really need to pester you guys. I just want to, I wanted to get out and hang out. We did this a couple of months ago, and it's always very fun. Jay says, thanks. 61 has no passenger recorders, just screwed on a Leaf Springs province, do no trunk, and all the metal will be ready to go. Yeah, well, better to overthink it than to underthink it, but you don't need to, like I say, don't panic about it, and it'll go fine. I like the idea. Keep the sheet metal. Al always taught me, my old boss. He said the best gauges that you could ever buy for this car are already attached to it, and it's all the best gauge you can have to see if the frame rail square is the hood. Put the hood on, close the hood. If your rad support's where it's supposed to be and the hood doesn't close, then you don't need a gauge to see that the thing is swayed, right? So that's what he always said. The panel, the best gauges you can buy are already on the car. And this is from a guy who had done collision work for 30 years and had every gauge and every tool and everything. And in the end, he said, it always comes down to, when you close the hood, is the nice even fit all the way around? Well, it can't be that far off then, So that's that's from somebody who's tinkering in his garage. Don't if somebody has a much more accurate way to do that, don't go ahead, do it. Do it better to overdo it than underdo it, but don't be afraid of it. If it looks right and it fits right and the quarter is good and the gap is good and everything's good, it'll be good. It'll be fine. William Vandenberg, thank you so much, buddy. Greetings from a fellow Model T owner. Oh, that's cool. It's really amazing to me how many of those little Model Ts are still going. I know where there's 3 or 4 within Model T distance of my house. They're just so much fun. And they're something that, Model T people will always have something to talk about. You can always, because they it doesn't matter the year. There's no, all the Model T things, Model T people always have something to talk about. So it's really fun. And I consider myself very fortunate to have, a tiny bit of experience with them now. And I just absolutely love mine, but I'm going to make some improvements to it this year. It's so loud inside. If I could do one thing, I've got the interior, but I really want to, I got an exhaust leak I want to sort out, and then I'm going to start trying to make it a little more civilized so that I might be able to use it for weddings or picking people up or actually going out for dinner and not smelling like exhaust when you get there and stuff like that, Duncan Frere, thank you so much, buddy. Just is a bit alarming. You guys are all very kind. Oh my God, sorry. I'm way up here. Oh, jeez. So thank you so much, Duncan. That is very kind of you. Yeah, that I don't know what to say. You guys are all so kind here. It's very, very nice of you. Mexican Spec says you need some European headlights for your Renaults. It might be able to help. Thank you so much. I actually have the European lights. I was going to leave it for a surprise, but since we're wrecking surprises, I do have the European lights. What I do not have is they have a slightly different mounting system, which I do not have. I don't know if it bolts in or welds in. I'm probably going to end up just making it up from scratch, but I do have the lights because my friend Bruce, who sold me the gold car, sold his silver car, and the person he sold it to actually wanted the American lights because that was the one he was trying to replace a car that he'd had as a young man. So long story short, I have the European lights for the car. So, and they're really cool. Yeah, they're in beautiful shape too. So they'll be going in the black car, which is basically the car that's going to get all the best parts that I have from all this Renault adventure. It's pretty funny to have ended up with 2 of them of a car I never really thought about for 20 years. And then it's like, you know what? I kind of think those things are cool. And when my friend Bruce had one, I was like, if you ever wanted to, if you didn't live so far away, I'd buy that off of you. And then he said, well, would you buy it if it was in your yard? And I said, sure. And one day later, it was in my yard. He just got in it, and I figured, well, you drove it here from Vancouver over the mountains, 1,000 miles or whatever it is. How can I not pay you? So, yeah, so that's how I ended up with the first one. And then, of course, like so many things, when you get one, somebody's like, "Oh, you like Renaults? Oh, I know where there's another one." And that's kind of how a lot of this goes. And anybody knows if your favorite car is a '64 Buick, it's only a matter of time before somebody says, "Hey, I found a '64 Buick in a garage or in a junkyard or in a field or on the side of the road, or I stole one for you," or whatever. So that's how it goes. It's not like a broken engine. Then you're like, well, the best way to get the 2 fixed is to buy a third, and that's what ended up happening. But if the world to somehow conspire to make me only have one R5, I would probably be able to still get up in the morning. But I don't know if I want to have 0 R5s because it's the only. I got a lot of cars, but it's the only one that's really like a good city thrash around car. Like I never want to take my 60 Fury and run errands in the city with it. That's just not what that car is for. I wouldn't enjoy it. I would be nervous. I'd be worried about it. And not because it's so precious, but because I don't have the time to be working on the same cars over and over again. Like when that car is done, it's done. And the reason it's done is so I can start on the next one because I want a 59 Buick in there and I want a 61 in there. And so that's the thing is that once it's done and I'm happy with it and I like it, okay, I got to drive it just enough to keep it drivable. Like I want it to be roadworthy. I want to be able to get in it at any time, but I'm not going to like, oh, great, it's done. Well, I can start driving the shit out of it. That's not the plan. The plan is never to never to build them and then drive them back down to their junk again. I kind of want to just build it and maintain it and say, there, that's, basically trying to build the car collection that my 10-year-old self might have thought was pretty cool. So Dan asked about Laura's cabin again. Yeah, I hope I covered that for you, Dan. Cheers. Brian, thank you so much. £5. That's like 5 million Canadian dollars. That's awesome. Some treats for Frankers and Tractor Gnome. Thank you very much. Well, Frankers needs treats more than me. Frankers seems to have passed out, you guys. Maybe we'll see if we get her back in here to sign off. Brian asked, what happened to your plans for the outdoor lift? It got cold. We reached the end of October, and I wasn't anticipating another month and a half of nice weather. But at a certain point, it becomes problematic to drill piles and stuff around here. So I'm just going to wait till the ground thaws in the spring, and that'll be the first thing that goes up. But the lift is still there. The plans haven't changed. It's just by the time we got the driveway sorted out and the little, all that graded out and with room to so I could drive the Model T into the garage and all that. And it just turned out absolutely beautifully. And Justin did such a beautiful job. And I just love it all so much. And we made the forklift pad. By the time all the smoke cleared from all that, it was just getting too late in the year to start digging it up again and pouring piles and stuff. So the lift, I decided I really wanted it up before snow, but it just wasn't going to happen. So I thought, well, don't get halfway through it. Just leave it and do it first thing in the spring. I hope that answers your question. Cheers. Dave Johnson, asked if I'm near Calgary. No, I'm about 200 miles north of Calgary, near Edmonton, much closer to Edmonton. Cheers. Bruce, thank you so much. Bruce sent me $10. Enjoy the channels. Love when we see the wagon. Oh yeah, cheers. Well, thanks, Bruce. I'm assuming you mean the Plymouth wagon, but I maybe Bruce means the Citroen wagon. But anyway, I love wagons in general. So that is very, very kind of you, Bruce. It says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Well, I will celebrate for everybody. Thank you so much, man. That is very kind of you. Let's see. Randall says, hey, Miles, always enjoy your contributions to the show. Cheers from the shed. Yeah, that's right. Miles is massively helpful around here and always has a fun take on it. And certainly, there was a reason that Miles and Ash were the captains of the V8 Showdown team, because you need guys that get things done, and those guys are awesome. Ash was here helping on the Buick yesterday, and always a blast to hang out with those guys. It's a little tricky this time of year. It's very cold. It's very it's just much harder to get guys together to casually lean against fenders and drink beer when it's an hour of work just to get your car started to leave the yard. So everybody bear with us for the next couple of weeks. Dean is off sick as well, so I'm trying to carry the whole thing by myself, and I am not the most interesting part of this show. So it's always an absolute treat, and I'm deeply honored that my friends will come and help me do this in exchange for me piddling around with their cars a bit. So Google Hoffer, $50. What? That's crazy. I would like a Coldwarmotors cap or hat. Well, all right then. We will think about making those again. This is one. I had some Coldwarmotors hats when we first did the store, but it took like a year to sell 50 of them. So we decided that we wouldn't print them again, but thanks for that. I think if we were to do maybe not this type of hat, but like a baseball cap, maybe that would work out. So that's something that I will definitely consider. Thank you again so much. That is very kind of you. Mr. Nobody would love the Nash. Me too. I would love to do that car. It is just so rotten. It's not even that it's rotten. It's smashed, badly fixed, rotten, and smashed again. It is a very poor example. It's basically an excellent parts car, and I am literally keeping one eye open for a restorable version of that exact same car. But it has to be that car. I don't want a Statesman. I want an Ambassador custom, and that's the with the longer wheelbase and those cars are just so cuckoo. Of all the cars on the lot, all those crazy junkers that are all lined up there, the one that I wish was roadworthy was the Nash. So it's a car I could definitely see 52 to even right up to the 56 sevens. Those things are just hilarious. They're so crazy looking. One of the craziest cars. Just love them. The Pininfarina ones with the skirted fenders. Just an absolutely, like when you see that going down the road, that thing, it stops traffic for any number of reasons. Chuck says, next time you race the Packard, you drive. That's funny. Yeah, well, I didn't blame Dean for hitting reverse the first time, but the second time I even said, don't put it in reverse, and then he did anyway. So, but to be fair though, that thing is, it's a little vague. And we're talking about cars that are just like, okay, if we hold our fingers just so it won't blow up, catch on fire, or stall or whatever. Like, just the fact that we got those things to move that much under their own power was an achievement for me. Ask Scott what happened to the gold 58 Viscount. It was a nice car. Guy had to have it and ruined it. Yeah, I sold it to a fellow, but shit, that was 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to it. I think somebody took the engine out of it and either parted it out or sold it on. But it wasn't a very nice car. Like, honest to God, like, I've got cars that I would be way sadder than that one. It was one of those cars that looked better than it was. It was. Even when the guy bought it and said he was going to make a low rider, I was like, okay, well, do whatever you want. It's not the car I would start with, but I sold it cheap, and yeah, there's not much you can do about it. Every now and then, I think it's important to remember, and I get heat sometimes for using certain cars for parts or whatever, or, I can't believe that you would not restore that or you part that out. And this is completely understandable when you're hearing from people around the world. Like, there's a lot of places in the world where any one of these junkers in my yard here would be considered a very viable project and probably a very interesting and possibly valuable car. But around here in Western Canada, there are way more classic cars than there are people who can or will take care of them. So cars that might be extremely valuable in another part of the world because of their rarity, and you think, well, there's no way that people are so cynical about 1950s American cars that they're not saving them. Well, it's simply true. Yeah, like, there are just more cars in this part of the world than there are people to take care of them, and so every now and then you can buy a car that somebody might have restored, and you can just be like, well, I'm going to use it for parts. Just they're not that rare, and it's weird, I guess, hearing that if you're in one of those parts of the world where they are rare. But for instance, my Newport, like, that thing's getting sacrificed for parts. And I know in certain parts of Europe, those C-body cars are kind of sought after, but it's just not the case here. They still derby them here. Like, they're still using cars like this in demolition derbies here. So, and that's where mine was headed when I bought it 20 years ago. It was going to the derby, and not that I think that that's a good idea either, but the reality of it is that there are way more cars than there are people with the resources, the will, the skills, the money, and the space and time to look after them. So that's just the way it is. And some people complain that the cars are being taken and being sold in Europe. Well, good. I mean, at least they're appreciated there. I'm all for it. If there was any money in it, I'd put all these things on a container ship and ship them over there. But it's just a reality of the situation that somehow we are living in the last place in the world, really, I think, where these cars are still. I mean, where else are you going to drive by a field that has not changed ownership in 3 generations? That's where the old cars are. That's Grandpa's old DeSoto is in the back. I mean, if that car is in Europe, everybody knows about it, and it's a commodity. But here, that stuff Grandpa dies and the crusher guys come in and they just did the tractors and the combines and the cars and the seeders and the spreaders and all of that shit. It all just gets crunched up by a big thing and goes into a bin and it gets flattened. And that's just the reality of the situation. Is there's still way more raw material here than there is anywhere else, as far as I can see. If anybody knows differently, but every day I go on the Classic Car Trader kind of web pages, and it's the same cars up there for months and months and months and months and months. And then if I buy one and decide to use it for parts, I get heat for it. And it's like, well, the car was for sale for 2 years. I paid what the guy was asking, and just because I wanted it for pieces instead of as a restoration project, well, it doesn't matter. I paid what he was asking, and nobody else even looked at it. So that's just the reality of the situation. And it seems hard to believe if you're in a part of the world where these cars are extremely rare. But for whatever reason, Western Canada, now they're not great either. They're rusty and they're dented and they're kicked around. They got a lot of miles on them and blah, 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 but they still exist. And a lot of them you're able to buy, like my 59 Buick, you're able to buy them almost in the condition that they were when they were parked in that field in 1970. So they're essentially 10 years old, because once they're off the road and they're not getting salted and they're sitting in a field in the cold, they don't really get any worse. The cold weather, it's very dry here, it's very cold, and the corrosion is very, very slow. And so sometimes when I get heat for leaving like my Fraser outside, like nothing is happening to that thing. When it's minus 30, like you can put shiny bare metal out there for a month and nothing is going to happen. Anyhow, not to belabor that, but I just thought I'd offer a little perspective for some people who maybe don't see how you could buy a certain car and say, oh, I'm just going to use it for parts. Well, it's because there's 4 of them for sale. There's 4 of them for sale. I bought the one that most suited what I wanted to do. Like when Miles and I went and got that 60 Biscayne, there was literally within driving distance 4 1960 Biscaynes for sale. And we picked the best one that was the closest to us that suited my needs exactly. So anybody saying, well, you need to restore that as well, I'm like, well, then you find me something to cut up to restore the Impala. So, and that's just the reality of it. And it would be nice if these cars were all worth fortunes. I'd sell them, but they're not. I'm just literally, it's me or the crusher for a lot of this stuff. Anyway, I'm getting way behind. Let's see. Brian knows. Brian, the old Jeep guy, says selling cars is a massive pain. Yeah, Mexican spec. We all love buying cars. We all hate selling them. It's nice to know that people who, I think some of you guys have a lot of cars too. And Bill, thank you so much. Bill sent me $10. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Bill. Bill didn't include a question, so I'm just going to keep rambling. Heather asked what's coming up Saturday. Well, we'll be working on the Rover, the Buick. I haven't decided. Andy, my brother, is building an engine for his 69 Fairlane, and I haven't decided how much of that I'm going to include, whether I wait until that's actually running and present it as a separate thing, or whether I kind of say, well, let's follow along as this goes. I don't know. I don't really know what's going in the show until I start editing it. And sometimes when I get halfway through editing it, I'm like, oh, it's already too long. So stuff that I thought was going in will go in the following week. So that's not much of an answer. Tearing down the Buick, working on the Rover, maybe Dan's snowmobile. It's coming up almost time to go over to Dan's house. And, this type of thing. The usual, I guess, would be what I would say, I suppose. Elmer Fudd's out of here. Cheers, buddy. Thank you so much for stopping in. And let me get caught up here again. Sorry, see, I touched the button and it all just, anyway, it's crazy. Dan, $20, come on. What would we do without this channel? Well, I don't know. You'd probably have more spare time and achieve things. Sourcing coolant parts for my 91 Montero, only $80K. Got to save it for the next guy. Oh, that's right on, Dan. I'm going to have to look up what a 91 Montero is, and I'm assuming that you are not local to me, or I would have seen it. That is cool. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for keeping the old nonsense going here. Michael said, "How about a tutorial on how to drive a Model T?" I think I could. I guess there are plenty of them out there. I'm showing my niece how to drive the Model T. I've considered making that a video. You guys can let me know. She's a pretty good sport, and she already knows how to drive stick, and she has her motorcycle license, and she's a very good driver, and she's really into it. So I thought, well, maybe we'll do a short video showing my niece how to drive the Model T. Let's thank you for the idea. I guess I didn't do it yet because there's multiple videos on driving Model Ts and how it's done, and B, a lot of those videos are probably better than what I would do. So nevertheless, I certainly do. Literally the video could be 45 seconds long. Like, you get it running, push on this, shove that lever ahead, pull these things down, and you're going, right? They're not that bad. They're actually quite, once you get a little, it doesn't take long. Like, I had my niece going around the block pretty quickly. You guys saw the video where I showed my sister how to drive the Model T, and she did fine. She was, a little reluctant to take it out on the public roads. So that would be the next step, is can I get Laura to drive the Model T to the store or something, instead of just driving it around an empty field and complaining about how shitty it is to drive. Lester LeSabre, $20. Oh, I like your name. That's very kind of. Looking forward to seeing more in the 59 Buick. Tom even started working on the door. Yeah, I know. It's crazy to see Tom actually like lifting tools up and stuff. So that was cool. Thanks so much, Lester. I will put your $20 towards that Buick. Absolutely. It's going to be a pretty reasonable, not to be spoiling it too much, but it looks like the engine that Miles and I bought is going to be very serviceable. So we'll get into more detail on that tomorrow, or whatever day I put the video up. And, but we are cautiously optimistic about the 364. So there's oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jay. Jay said, my mentor that taught me this stuff passed away, as was my dad, owner of the 61, 11 years ago at 12. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, 11 years ago. Oh, okay. Not just, I was going to say, not just today, I hope. That's, yeah, well, again, my mentor is still doing it, so I can always phone Al. Dan asks, where did my dog go? Oh, she's sleeping upside down in the couch in the other room there. Our Springer says, Spaniel, say hi to Frankers. You hear that, Frankers? Frankers doesn't hear nothing. She's asleep. How would Frankers react if you brought in a stray cat? She would be very excited, and the cat would be very unhappy. Yeah, I think the cat would wish it was stray. She loves cats, but they don't necessarily like dogs. Oh yeah, sorry about the commercial there, boss. It's one of these. YouTube never misses a chance to put a commercial in. That's just the way it goes now. I hope it wasn't a long one. My apologies if it was. So there's a Mexican says, make Miles a mod. I guess we could, but then the thing with this stuff is it's not scheduled. I wasn't even considering this when I got up this morning, and now to be taking up my friend's time as well would be difficult. So Art Bailey sent me $10. Thank you so much, Art. Treats for Frangers, rolling papers. Woo! That is just enough there for both. Thank you very much, man. That is awesome. There's just see if there's any. Is this a marathon? No, it is not, Andy. Thank you. I actually we'll go another 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna have to. It's I'm just taking up way too much of people's time here. Brian, good night. Thanks again. I need to sleep at 3 a.m. Oh, geez. Yeah, I guess, eh? It's very, very kind of you guys to stop in. DJ Crown Vic asked if the Granada rusting out or getting rust proofed. I don't know. I think Al has gotten it all shined up and presumably rust proof, but he is driving it, and he's not too concerned about it. Neither Al or I put on a ton of miles, so good if I had moderators. Yeah, I guess if we were gonna do this weekly, I would. I don't I don't know how much people really need to listen to me every week, especially as I'm not particularly interesting. So geez, let's see. Yeah, you guys heard the man. Go to Western Canada, pick up some classics. Well, they'll be rusty, but at least they still exist. There are places in the world, like for instance, I think Montana, Idaho, the cars are less rusty there, but there are maybe. Well, and again, excuse me. Oh my God, balancing how much work you want to do with how much you want to pay. And I think the mistake a lot of people make, and it's not a mistake that I don't make because I do. The difference is that I don't mind doing all the welding and shit, but if you are not good at repairing rust and don't have the facilities, buying a rusty car is a waste of time because you will be so far upside down in it by the time you paid somebody. Just buy a good one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying a good car. I like buying rusty cars because I like the process. I like looking at the cars when they're finished and saying I'm the one that put that back together. I do not, but I don't recommend that other people do it. So, I enjoy the process. And one of the reasons we can film this, I don't want to watch a channel where a guy just goes and spends a bunch of money and buys nice cars and puts them in his garage. I mean, there are probably guys that do that, or guys that just buy a car. And actually, those are all the 2 million subscriber channels. So what the hell do I know? But to me, it's the process. I don't want cars that other people restored. I want cars that I restored. And to me, yeah, like when I was a kid, I built models. I didn't want to buy models that were already built. I wanted to build them myself. It was the process that I enjoy, and it still is. So there's sorry, I'm reading. I read actually pretty fast, guys. Vicky says, we want to see a motorcycle project. Can you build that Suzuki AS50 in your garage? Yeah, I have a couple of bike projects always underway. They're difficult with the YouTube channel. A lot of people who are into motorcycles generally watch motorcycle only kind of content. So when you take it and you put motorcycle, I mean, to me, it's all the same thing. It's all just stuff that you bought, that you like, that you fix up and you drive it around. But for the point of view of trying to run this YouTube channel as a viable enterprise, motorcycles tend to get overlooked, all else being equal. So when I do motorcycle stuff, it's generally going to be, a very brief or part of a much, if I get an hour-long video, I might get away with putting 5 or 10 minutes about motorcycles in it. But if I start making an hour-long video of me working on a motorcycle, most of the people who watch this channel watch it for the cars. And I totally get that. That's totally fine. And I shoot myself in the foot enough with the weirdo French shit Luckily, there's a few people who like that kind of thing as much as I do, but a lot of a lot of the times I have to be, and so I try to accommodate that, because it's not like I don't like building American cars. Of course I do. We got 50 of them, but so I am careful to, like, chances are if somebody is not into the Renault project, they're also not going to be into the Peugeot 403. They're probably not going to be into the Traction Avant project or the SM project. It's just because it's all so esoteric and it's not really relatable. So I just want to, and so there's no point in me being whiny about it. Just, if you like American cars, make sure you're always building one of those at the same. Like, that's the worst case scenario, is that I have to build a 59 Buick. I can totally live with that. So yeah, the Suzuki A50 is a really cute bike. I might, if I don't build that, I might see if my brother wants to, because he has the 150 and the 350 and the Water Buffalo. So it'd be kind of, he's got all of those different Suzukis. It might be fun part of his collection more so than mine. Dino Daniels, been following your channel for over 10 years. Well, thank you so much, man. Sometimes I can't believe that I've been doing this as long as I have. It'll be 15 years in April. So that's it's getting up there. Like, for a guy who's never even held a job for 6 months, to do anything for 15 years is kind of mind blowing. It's strange to think that, sometimes I'll get notes from people who are, well, they were 10 years old when I started doing this. Like, my life hasn't changed that much in the last 15 years, but a lot of people, if you're younger, it has. And that's kind of a weird thing. It's a weird thing for me to, hey, I started watching when I was 7 and now I'm 22. That's weird, So anyway, that's the size of it. Steve W. Hello everybody. Hello, Steve. Sorry, joining us just as we're getting ready to shut her down here. Thank you guys all so much. What happened to the old camera film? Oh, I found a place. Thank you for the question, Josh. Found a place that's going to develop it. So it's in the mail, and I'm going to have it back. Well, I don't know. I mean, it'll be before spring. I hope that we'll get to see it, but it's definitely. And the other thing is, I want to do a lot more with that. I want to see how this turned out, because I don't want to go shoot a bunch more and find out that the camera's junk and all I got is a bunch of black plastic for my money. But I have no reason to believe it's not going to turn out really well. And I really like the idea of filming the vintage cars with the vintage camera. I think it'll probably add a look to some of our videos that are, maybe it's easy to fake all that now, but it's easy to fake lots of stuff. I guess I'd like to, if we're going to shoot some 8mm, let's go out and have some fun. And it makes you think differently about filming when you've only got a minute and a half, and then you got to take all this shit apart and put the film in the other way. And you don't get to see it for 6 months. Filming with digital is just so easy. And, you just turn the camera on and swing it around, and just, I throw away hours and hours and hours of footage every week. I just throw it right in the garbage. Don't care, because it doesn't, it's just digital. It's not, there's nothing there. But the idea that like, even when they used to shoot big deal movies, like, don't make me do 3 takes of this, because we had to cut out a car chase if you don't get your lines right, because there was only the actual physical product was a considerable expense and a considerable effort. And so I really like the idea of doing more on the 8mm, and it just makes you think differently about, okay, it's like, don't just leave the camera running and then go find the car and drive it past the camera. Like, you got to get everybody's in place, everything's ready, okay, and push the button, and then, because you instead of filming for 4 minutes to get that 10-second shot, you want to film for about 12 seconds, because otherwise the rest of your film is shot. So there's it's a challenge, and it's fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really hoping that it turns out well. So that's what's happening. It is a go, and we are going to get it back, but it took a while with the holidays and the Christmas and the people, blah, blah, everybody's closed. I get that. So what had happened is, I asked this place, I emailed them about, can you do my film? And then I never heard back from them. And I thought, well, maybe it's an old website, maybe they closed. Well, it turns out they had written back to me right away, and it was in the spam. In my email, apparently decided that anybody who writes to me from Ontario was spam. So whatever. I did eventually get a hold of them, and now the whole wheels are in motion. So cheers. Dallas says, bring back classic darts. Oh, I'd love to. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's very, Al's very busy and Justin's very busy. And to get the two guys over when they have time, it's one of those things where I can't phone up guys. And then, we talked earlier about, if you want your friends to be part of this, don't become a pain in the ass. So that's the thing is classic darts has always been something that just happened. If everybody who was involved with it was in the same room at the same time, we would do it. But if not, I don't go out of my way to harass people. So that's all. It's not that I wouldn't like to have more of it for sure. So I'm just making sure we got. Whoops, I don't even know where I am now. Sorry, guys. I hope I didn't miss any super chats or such. Oh God, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't even know. I don't know where we are. Oh, here we are. Okay, did I get everybody? Yes. Thank you, guys. Okay, then it looks like we will start to wrap it up here, as it is 2.5 hours, and I thought we would go for an hour. So you guys, thank you all so much. If there's any last minute questions, I'll go right down to the bottom here, so I'm not reading stuff from a half an hour ago. So sorry to everybody I missed. It's not delivered. It's just the way it goes. I try to get what I can, and we're doing it is what it is, I guess. So we'll see everybody very soon, and yeah, thank you guys so much. Thanks to everybody else who stopped in too, Jonathan and Kyle and Randall, and yeah, you guys, that's awesome. So yeah, I guess so that everybody can just get back to their day. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who sent any kind of money at all. Completely, absolutely, thank you guys. It's not why I do this. Like I said, it was just too cold to try and film me starting something out there. It's minus 35 or whatever. And I thought, well, I'm going to take a short break from taking apart engines and go inside and just say hi to everybody. So it's very, very, very kind of you guys to stop in. I can't believe we had 800 and some people here today. It's it's really I'm immensely flattered that anybody watches this. And we've been doing it a while, and I still thank you so much, Stephen. I still get up every day and look forward to it, and that's something I could never say about any other job that I tried to do. To get up and look forward to it is there's no price on that I could possibly ask for more. To get up and hang around with Tom and play with Frankers and then work on my cars and not that it's not a 75-hour week every week. It's a big job, but it's stuff like just hanging out and to know that there's a tiny number of people out there who take any kind of value from this is immensely gratifying, and that we get to hang out now and then. Like, this is stuff that I never would have imagined was in my future, and to sit here and hang out with you guys and know that I'm talking to people who are just as cuckoo as I am about this stuff. I mean, you'd have to be to watch somebody like me play with this stuff. So thank you guys. We'll get together very soon again. There's it's just a terrific way to spend a few minutes and it's we'll be back again, and thank you guys all so much. And yeah, thanks for not yeah, as somebody mentioned there, thanks for not making this feel like a job, and it never does. Sometimes I wonder why I'm so tired and don't have any time and get 3 hours of sleep. Then I realize it kind of is a job, but if you have to think about it to realize it's a job, then it ain't that bad. So oh, somebody said you're not leaving without bringing the pup Frankers. Oh, you guys, she's asleep. She's like completely passed out. I'm so sorry. I had her here. I can't wake her up. I just can't. She's just so nice. Sorry about that. She's just yeah, she's just being she's completely passed out. It would just be mean to wake her up. So I know you guys wouldn't want me to be mean to Frankers. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll see you very soon. Cheers.